Thank you for viewing this recorded presentation of Preparing Communications and Publicizing the Developing Honor Society. Because this is a recorded presentation, please be sure to note any questions you have during the presentation and follow up with your Sigma Chapter Development staff person after the presentation as needed. Later in this module, you will also be directed to schedule a meeting with your Chapter Development staff person, and you can discuss any questions, concerns, or ideas at that meeting, where you will also be introduced to a resource tool that contains several communication templates to assist you as you move forward in preparing to communicate with potential members, and non-members. This presentation will focus on three main topics. The first is communication with members, which is broken down into organizing and planning, creating the message, and distributing the message. The second topic is publicizing the Developing Honor Society, which includes developing standard identification, modes of communication and the target audience, and a publicity committee. The final topic will cover creating and managing the perceptions of the Honor Society held by both members and non-members. The first topic I will cover is communicating with members. Without effective communication, your Developing Honor Society and potential future chapter will struggle to attract new members as well as retain active members. On the sustainability pyramid, shown here on the left, communication is the third level up from the bottom. Without effective communication, you will have difficulty reaching the upper levels of building a sense of community and member involvement, cultivating pride and publicity, having new volunteers to lead, and finally, retention of active members and recruitment of new members. On the right is the membership life cycle. This is a continuous cycle. Your Developing Honor Society will start at making an introduction, which will allow you to recruit new members. You will induct and orient those new members, encourage and cultivate member involvement, and hopefully this will lead to members renewing each year. You start the cycle again by making an introduction for the next group of potential new members. Every step of the membership life cycle requires effective communication in order to continue the cycle. To highlight the importance of effective member communication, I wanted to share with you just a few results of the Sigma membership survey conducted in 2017. Sigma surveyed members who have been active for various lengths of time, as well as inactive members. Inactive members were asked why they were no longer active, and the top responses included that the cost of membership exceeded the value of the benefits, that the member did not use or was unaware of their benefits, and a lack of involvement or information from their chapter. Communication plays a key role in each of these potential issues. A member cannot take full advantage of the benefits offered if the member is unaware of those benefits. Effectively educating members about the benefits available and how to access them can increase the likelihood that the member will find value in their membership and renew each year. 29% responded that they did not use or were unaware of the benefits, and 26% responded that there was a lack of involvement or information from the chapter. This does not necessarily mean that those members' chapters were not active. However, in some cases, the member was simply unaware of the opportunities and benefits due to a lack of effective communication from the chapter. To simplify the communication progress, it's best to organize and make a plan. Creating a plan will help the Developing Honor Society to both effectively and efficiently communicate with members. Creating a communication plan will ensure that the correct individuals receive pertinent information at the right time. It also assigns and spreads the responsibility for the communications throughout the leadership. The plan can identify possible resources that the Developing Honor Society can utilize to improve their communication efforts. Having a written plan that all leaders have to reference will also streamline communications and information being distributed to the members. The plan will be detailed so that it can be carried out by another party if the individual responsible for the communication is unavailable, such as in the case of a sudden illness. The communication plan will also be given to new leaders as they transition into their role. There are certain pieces of information needed to build a communication plan. The goal is what you want to accomplish from the communication. A timeline will ensure the communication is sent on schedule. The message or call to action is what you want the member to do or know. The target audience identifies what segment of members or non-members the message needs to be sent. The delivery method indicates what mode or modes of communication you will utilize for that specific communication. Budgetary considerations need to be made if you are utilizing a paid email service, postal mail, printed communications such as flyers or handouts, or if you choose to pay for a website hosting service. And finally, the responsible party or parties identifies who is in charge of ensuring that communication is created and sent. This is an example of an overall communication plan. This is a living document to be utilized, revised as needed, and then recycled for the following year. The other type of communication plan I will explain in just a few moments is one for a specific event where the communications have a specific start and end date relative to the occurrence of the event. In the example you see here of an overall communication plan, the first task includes sending a quarterly newsletter in March, June, September, and December. The message or call to action is to update members on events or programs that will occur in the upcoming quarter, member highlights or recognitions, upcoming events and save the date announcements, and any other business to be included. The target audience is all current members. The delivery is multimodal, and the newsletter will be posted on the Developing Honor Society website, on the School of Nursing webpage, and a link will be posted to the Honor Society's Facebook and Twitter pages. There are no budgetary considerations for these delivery methods because they are all free platforms, assuming the Developing Honor Society webpage is free or budgeted for elsewhere. The webmaster is listed as the responsible party for posting the newsletter. However, there's also a special note that the secretary is responsible for composing the content for the newsletter. You may choose to implement additional leadership positions such as webmaster, communications committee, or member engagement committee that may also be responsible for sending out communications. Or you may choose to delegate the responsibilities to one of the required officers, such as the secretary, and not implement any additional leadership positions at this time. The second line on this example is the Honor Society's goal to connect with their inactive members. For this communication, the delivery method is both an email and a printed letter or flyer. These inactive members may have moved, or the email address on file may no longer be valid. Using both email and postal mail delivery betters the chance that the inactive member will receive the communication. Using a mailed communication incurs both printing and postage costs, so there is a budgeted amount of US $75 for postage and envelopes. The Dean of the School of Nursing, where this Honor Society is located, has given them permission to use the color copier in the nursing school office, so there is no cost for actually printing the letters. If you receive special permission such as this, make note of who gave the permission and of the date. Special permissions, like this, should be evaluated at least annually to make sure circumstances have not changed. Consider sending a note or token of thanks to those who provide in-kind donations, such as allowing the group to use the School of Nursing printer or copier. As you create your overall plan for the Developing Honor Society, you will plan several opportunities or ways to communicate with members throughout the year. Knowing your communication plans a year in advance will allow you to identify communication-related expenses and budget for them accordingly. The overall communication plan that we just looked at is for continued ongoing communications with no definite end date. For a single program or event, a separate communication plan will outline the communications specifically related to that event. This communication plan has a start date and an end date. Single event communication plans can be revised and recycled, especially if you find that one plan resulted in a very large turnout and successful event. Some events may need a 4 to 6 week communication plan like the one you see here. However, larger events, such as full day or multiple day conferences, will require a longer timeline, such as 6 to 9 months. As an example, the communication plan for Sigma's biennial convention starts at the close of the prior convention and includes when and where the next convention will be held. This is announced 2 full years in advance to allow people to plan. In the communication plan listed here, all of the communications are about one specific event, which is a prospective member meeting for students. Initially, 4 weeks prior to the meeting, 2 messages are sent. One message is sent to prospective members to invite them to the meeting, and the second message is sent to current members, also inviting them to the meeting to interact with the prospective members. 1 week prior to the meeting, a message is sent to eligible nursing students as a reminder. At the meeting, the Honor Society wants to have an informational flyer to hand out to the prospective members in attendance and have budgeted an amount for the printing costs. After the meeting, they plan to send a thank you note to those prospective members who attended. They also want to send a mailed thank you card to any current members who attended or assisted with the meeting. Another communication that could be included is to email a digital copy of the informational flyer to prospective members who did not attend, and include contact information if they happen to have questions. We recommend that the Developing Honor Society create a communication plan for each event, activity, follow-up, or outreach initiative planned. Once a communication plan is developed, the next step is to create the message for each communication. As you plan your communications, keep in mind that you will face obstacles, such as the shortening human attention span. According to research on HubSpot.com, our attention span has markedly decreased in just 15 years. In 2000, the average attention span was about 12 seconds. In 2015, it was almost 8 seconds. In comparison, the average attention span of a goldfish is 9 seconds. And even though we live in a digital world, this does not mean that people will spend a lot of time on websites. On the average web page, users will read about 28% of the words on an average list, and the average page visit is less than 1 minute. Users often leave the page in just 10 to 20 seconds. In the next few minutes, my goal is to provide you with strategies and tools to help you overcome these obstacles. By being clear in your message, using diverse delivery methods, segmenting your audience, making your communications visually appealing, and repeating important information, you can hopefully increase the likelihood that your intended audience will absorb the information you are trying to convey. Every communication needs to have a clear call to action, which answers for the recipient, what is the thing that you want me to do, or what is in it for me? Here we have 2 lists, the no way list and the hooray list. Instead of saying, register for our meeting, try a phrase such as, do not miss this exciting opportunity. There are some other examples here, like help us be part of the solution, instead of just volunteer your time. This could be used when communicating about a service project. There will be cases, such as a quarterly newsletter, where you need to give your members information about several or many topics. In that case, use short sentences and then include a hyperlink to additional information. Use one or two colors, and use bolded or bulleted lists to draw attention to certain details and break up the monotony of larger bodies of text. You can also utilize templates available on our additional resources webpage. If you do have a Developing Honor Society website or web page, update all of the details on the website and then include hyperlinks in the newsletter or direct the reader to the full text on the website. That way, they can see the highlights of all the information and choose if they want to follow the links or read more. Use strong phrases like learn more, click here to act, yes, I want to help, or register here. Here are two side-by-side communications that could serve as a quarterly newsletter. The one on the left is a long-running piece of text. Based on the statistics I showed you earlier, we can assume that most of your intended audience will not read through even the first paragraph. This message also does not contain necessary important details, such as dates or how to act further. The message on the right, however, clearly identifies a section for upcoming events with dates, times, and links to get more information or to register to attend. There is a call to action, do you know a strong leader, and a link to nominate someone for a leadership position. There's also a second call to action, we need your help, with a short description of some volunteer positions available, and again, a link for more information. Also included is a link to a recap of what happened the previous year, instead of including it within the larger body of text with the photos in the email. In the message on the right, the reader can easily identify the important information and then choose for themselves if they want to delve further into any subject. Now that we've identified how to create a clear message, we will focus on distributing that message. So far, I have discussed communicating with members using mostly written communication. I also want to discuss a few basic verbal communication tools that are important to develop for face-to-face interactions. The first is a value proposition statement. A value proposition statement is a short, clear statement of the concrete results a potential member will get from investing in the Developing Honor Society. A strong value proposition speaks directly to your target audience and creates interest so that your prospective members ask questions and want to learn more. This requires insight about what is unique to your honor society and its benefits and services. Existing members are a good resource from which to obtain this information. A survey distributed to your active members is included in the Spark Supplemental Resources, which we will discuss as the next steps at the end of this presentation. If you do not have active members yet, ask the board and committee members to complete this survey to help the group come to a consensus on a value proposition statement for the Developing Honor Society. Once you have created a value proposition statement, it will help each individual Honor Society leader develop their personal elevator speech. An elevator speech is a quick, 30-second or less, talk that provides basic information about the Developing Honor Society and the value proposition, along with personal information about why the speaker is a member. You will also find worksheets to help you develop your value proposition and elevator speech in the Spark items located on the Additional Resources page, and we will meet later to discuss how you can utilize these items. An example of a value proposition statement is, The ABC School of Nursing Honor Society offers members a place to expand their knowledge through continued education, networking, and leadership through a variety of scholarly and networking events and service projects. This value proposition statement is agreed upon by all Honor Society leaders and is then communicated uniformly to all of the members. From the value proposition statement, which is uniform for the Developing Honor Society, each individual leader can create their own elevator speech, such as, "My name is Amy, and I am currently serving as the secretary for the ABC School of Nursing Honor Society. The Honor Society celebrates excellence in nursing and has been active since 2015. We offer our members support throughout their entire nursing career by offering continued education, leadership development, service activities, and networking. We connect nurses across specialty areas and workplaces, which strengthens the nursing community both locally and globally. Our goal is to become a chapter of Sigma Theta Tau International. Thanks to the connections I have made through the Honor Society, I have a network of peers and mentors I can rely on when I need help. We are hosting a program next month, and you should come." You can see that the elevator speech expands on the value proposition statement points of continued education, networking, leadership, and service. Additionally, it gives a personal account of how the Honor Society has helped this individual. In this case, it leads into an invitation to attend the next Honor Society event. You can change the engagement statement at the end based on what the Honor Society has planned in the near future. It could have also ended with a statement such as, "Would you be interested in learning more?" Every leader's elevator speech will be different, but should contain the core message from the value proposition statement. Having each board member and committee chair create and share their own elevator speech will be a great exercise during a board retreat, board meeting, or over 2 to 3 board meetings. It will be time well spent. Visual tools can be utilized for communicating with prospective members, as well as publicizing to non-members, which we will discuss in a few moments. Setting up a display for the Nursing School Open House, Alumni Day, Homecoming Day, or Parents Weekend at the school can promote the Honor Society to prospective members, but also communicate upcoming events and other member benefits to your active members who happen to see the display. You can use a tablecloth, banner, or posters, and you should try to set it up the same each time. You could also use this display at hospitals, nursing homes, community clinics, or other potential community partners to publicize the Developing Honor Society. You can utilize printed materials to communicate with potential members, active members, inactive members, and non-members, such as potential community partners or nurse leaders. These can be designed by your Developing Honor Society using the consistent style you develop, which we will talk about later in this presentation. You can create a brochure that lists the Honor Society's mission, values, and value proposition statement, as well as a list of member benefits, how someone is eligible to join, and where they can find more information. An annual calendar of events is a great thing to have posted on the group's website or social media account, but you will also want to offer a printed version as well. This could be printed and handed out at the induction or new member orientation, as well as the prospective member meeting. Have a separate list of your member benefits to hand out as well. Your group may also choose to create a newsletter and include a section for testimonials of members to give their personal reasons for joining and the benefits that they have received from being an active member in the Honor Society. During the time that you are a Developing Honor Society, you should make it clear that you are not yet a chapter of Sigma, and your Developing Honor Society members will not have access to the Sigma member benefits until the application is submitted and approved, the new chapter chartering occurs, and the developing honor society member accepts their membership into your new Sigma chapter. You should not use the Sigma colors or claim that your developing honor society is Sigma. However, you can communicate the plans of the honor society to apply and become a chapter. Being a part of Sigma is a future benefit that you hope to provide to your members who join your developing honor society. Having an online presence can allow the Honor Society to communicate with its members on several platforms. There are several options such as Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or Instagram. The Honor Society could also create a website on an independent hosting platform or add a page on the School of Nursing or university website if allowed. Here is an example of the Liberty University Honor Society of Nursing's Facebook page. This Honor Society submitted their application that was approved, and they are now a Sigma chapter. Once they became a Sigma chapter, they converted their Facebook page to their chapter Facebook page. These are 3 of the posts they made when they were a developing honor society. One was an invitation announcement for an upcoming event. The second was an announcement that it's time to renew. And the third was a be on the lookout for exciting news from the most recent board and member meetings. It instructed the member to watch for an email over the upcoming week for opportunities to become involved. Notice that in the post on the bottom left corner, it was a longer post. However, the most important call to action and pertinent details were included in the first few sentences. This gave the reader the information they needed and then the choice to read further. This honor society successfully used social media as one communication tool to keep their members informed. However, others have not been as successful, so I wanted to give you some tips for using social media. Social media is a great way to stay connected with the members and update them regularly. However, you will want to make sure that there is a person or committee that is committed to updating the account regularly. If a member or prospective member visits the account and sees that there have been no posts for some time, or if the information posted is outdated, the individual may assume that the Honor Society is no longer active. Ensure that there is always access to the accounts. Login information and passwords should be shared with multiple leaders. Use social media to engage members, but also keep the message simple and be strategic with your messaging. Each member should have a clear and strong call to action. This will allow the reader to identify immediately what the message is about and determine if they want to know more. Consider using short videos or photos and links to more information. Encourage participation from the members. Consider sharing a hashtag for the Honor Society or specific events and ask your members to use it. Before posting videos or photos of members, check for institutional, local, provincial, or national privacy laws or regulations that may exist. If needed, you may need to ask members to sign a waiver to have their photo posted on social media or websites. If this is necessary, you could consider making this part of the membership profile that the member completes when they are inducted. We recommend that you avoid sending mass emails from your university or employer-provided email inbox. First of all, they can limit the number of recipients you send to at any one time. And most likely, all replies will come to your personal inbox, even if you direct the recipient to respond to someone else. You have to remember to put all email addresses in the blank carbon copy line to avoid sharing private information. Spam is annoying, unwanted emails from organizations you do not know. You can be fined based on your country's laws and based on the severity of the offense. There are some affordable options here. And if you decide to use a free service, we recommend setting up a Developing Honor Society email address using a provider such as Gmail. Some countries, including those within the European Union and Canada, have additional privacy and protection laws. Ensure that you are following all local and national laws regarding contacting members and non-members. To help you communicate the benefits that your Honor Society members will receive if they choose to become members of the potential future Sigma chapter, we have provided several resources to assist you. We have several brochures on the Additional Resources webpage that the Honor Society can customize and print. The brochures explain the Sigma benefits, the status of the Honor Society, and contain sections where the Honor Society can insert their local benefits for members. We also have a free issue of 2 Sigma publications, the Journal of Nursing Scholarship and Worldviews on Evidence-Based Nursing. Full access to these publications, among others, is a Sigma member benefit. The Honor Society can promote the free issues to its members as a glimpse of this benefit, and these are available on the sigmanursing.org website. We have also created a PowerPoint template available for download on the Additional Resources webpage that the Honor Society can use during prospective member meetings, new member orientation, or annual business meetings. The beginning slides can be used to talk specifically about the Developing Honor Society and its benefits, and then the later slides were created to help the Honor Society leaders communicate the status of the Developing Honor Society, the process to become a chapter, and the member benefits that Sigma members receive, in addition to the benefits provided at the chapter level. I'm now going to turn our attention to publicizing the Developing Honor Society. Communication is targeted at your members and is the act or process of using word, sounds, signs, and behaviors to exchange information with your members. On the other hand, publicity specifically refers to attracting the attention of the public or non-members. If we refer back to the sustainability pyramid, communication is the way in which you convey the mission, values, and strategic plan to your members. Good communication can foster a sense of community within your Honor Society. This leads to feelings of pride within the Honor Society members, which will foster positive publicity both directly and indirectly. Intentional publicity is the deliberate attempt to manage the public's perception of the Developing Honor Society. It is also used to generate awareness among non-members and potential community partners. Publicity can be used to increase member pride. Making the Honor Society known and recognizable to the public, and then publicizing the successes of the Honor Society and its members can give outside acknowledgement. You will want to create a standard way that all Developing Honor Society leadership will identify the Honor Society. This standard identification will help you build recognizability through printed and visual communications and publicity pieces. The images shown here are used by 3 large companies to identify themselves to the public. These images are just part of what is called the brand of the company. These companies spend a lot of time and money on marketing and branding. However, on a much smaller scale, we can equate the idea of the brand of the Honor Society. The brand is a visual image or mark used consistently to identify a company or organization, in this case, the Developing Honor Society. It includes the name of the Honor Society, possibly an image if you choose, and the color or font of the text used. If you receive a flyer, an email, and a printed communication on letterhead from the Developing Honor Society, you should be able to tell that all three are from the same organization just by their look or the brand that is used. We recommend standardizing this early on and communicating the details with all leaders. You have most likely already chosen the name for your Developing Honor Society. If not, remember that Sigma chapters are assigned their Greek chapter name at chartering. Therefore, the Developing Honor Societies cannot use Greek letters in their Honor Society name or refer to themselves as a chapter. You can use the name of the university, school of nursing, or even name the Developing Honor Society in honor of an individual. Be sure that once you choose the name of the Developing Honor Society, each leader knows the name and can correctly identify the Honor Society. Once you have created the identification for the Developing Honor Society, you will want to decide how you will use this to publicize the Honor Society and which audiences you want to focus on. There are many modes to publicize the Honor Society, such as print collateral that can be posted on bulletin boards in local hospitals or organizations. You can create a press release to run in printed or online publications, including the local or university newspaper or a newsletter of the local hospital. The Honor Society's social media accounts and website could also be used to announce events open to the public or publicly acknowledge a member's success. You could take out a small ad in a local newspaper or on the university television station. And think of any other ways you can get the Honor Society's name in front of those who you want to know about it. Often when we think of publicity, we think of large-scale, large-budget campaigns. But it is possible to create a public awareness in key areas of the community without spending a large portion of your budget. Consider using sidewalk chalk messages around the School of Nursing. Some university radio stations will offer free commercial time to organizations on campus, or you could consider local public access radio if the university does not have its own radio or television station. Some universities have a campus channel that will air on a loop in dorm rooms or on televisions throughout campus. You could create bookmarks for the library using a black and white printer on colored paper, or post unique messages on a community bulletin board. Consider sending welcome messages to new faculty, deans, or area chief nursing officers and inviting them to the next Honor Society event. You could also use social media to host contests for small prizes, such as a $5 or $10 gift card to a coffee shop. Focus and target publicity in a way that will maximize the benefit to the Honor Society. Raising awareness of the Honor Society within the member's workplace could result in recruitment of nurse leader candidates. Additionally, if the workplace knows of the Honor Society and recognizes its importance, the member may feel recognition. Publicizing to potential community partners may lead to a mutually beneficial relationship between the Honor Society and a hospital, community clinic, or other type of healthcare organization or facility, such as a long-term care or home health care group. Publicity can seem like a large and daunting task. Keep in mind that you may not be able to do everything today, but it may be something that the leadership lists as a future goal for upcoming years. Something that may help is enlisting some volunteer members to form a publicity committee. The Publicity Committee can be made up of anywhere from 1 to several members. They will take information from the leadership and work to create a buzz about the Developing Honor Society in the community. They could also publicize member and honor society successes, promote the mission, vision, and values, and continually educate the public sector about the Honor Society's goals and achievements. Try to include members who do not already hold a leadership position to increase member volunteers and member engagement. You could consider utilizing student members who cannot commit to a full 2-year term, but still want to volunteer their time. You could also use members who work or volunteer in the community, such as with other nursing organizations or at local hospitals. Remember that your new members are excited when they are first inducted, so consider harnessing that excitement for this purpose. The individuals on the Publicity Committee should be good communicators who can clearly convey the value of the Honor Society to potential members, non-members, and non-nurses. They should be familiar with or interested in learning more about social networking platforms, willing to learn and adhere to the Honor Society standards, and possibly most important, they should be excited about the Honor Society and excited to tell others about it. When you are ready to recruit individuals to lead the publicity initiative, ask the Leadership Succession Committee for recommendation based on which members may have indicated an interest in developing as a leader. You could have sign-ups for volunteer positions available at all meetings and events, as well as calls for volunteers through newsletters or other Honor Society communications. Look for who is active and interacting on the Honor Society's social media accounts. You may also find a good candidate when talking with members one-on-one. Having a separate committee for publicity or communication is not a requirement. However, you may find that you have excited new members after your first induction who want to help spread the word and promote the Developing Honor Society. You can always start small, possibly with a combination communication and publicity committee. Because these committees are not required by your bylaws, you can custom fit them to best meet the needs of the Developing Honor Society and its members. Our last focus of this session will be creating and managing perceptions. Every interaction that an individual has with the Developing Honor Society or one of its representatives has the possibility to form the individual's perception of the Developing Honor Society. Perceptions can be held by anyone: members, prospective members, inactive members, nurses in the community, and non-nurses in the community. It is important to talk about the types of perceptions that are ideal, how to create them, and how to manage any potentially negative perceptions. A perception is the way you think, feel about, or understand someone or something. Think about how you want members to answer these questions about the Developing Honor Society. Why is the Honor Society important? What does the Honor Society stand for? How does being a member of the Honor Society make you feel? And what will you remember about the Honor Society? The perception that the member has of the Honor Society will influence the way that they will answer these questions. Active members are not the only group whose perceptions we should consider. Prospective members, new members, and existing members, both active and inactive, all have different experience levels with the Honor Society and therefore have different opportunities to form a perception. Inactive and lapsed members may have a negative perception that caused them to not renew their membership, which could be considered in a plan to recapture them as a member. Additionally, non-members and community partners could also form a perception of the Honor Society. This could be through word of mouth from members, interactions with the Honor Society, or seeing publicity about the Honor Society. The goal is to create ideal perceptions, which could include qualities such as the Honor Society being valuable, useful, and relevant, helping to build relationships, organized, welcoming, fun, and exciting, timely, and transparent. These are all positive qualities of an organization. On the other side of the spectrum, individuals could develop a perception that the Honor Society is unorganized, bland, indifferent, one-dimensional, confusing or inconsistent, doesn't have a message, or is secretive. It does not necessarily mean that the Honor Society is any of these things. However, it is how the individual perceives the Honor Society based on their interactions and experiences. Those examples were at the extreme ends of what is called the perception continuum. Someone's perception of a whole organization is a complicated subject. There are many facets, and an individual could have positive and negative perceptions that are spread throughout the continuum. Some questions you can ask and answer as a group are: who provides the first impression of the Honor Society, and is it creating a welcoming environment? What methods of communication are being used, and are we using several methods to reach different types of members? When are events planned, and are we being flexible to be inclusive of various member types? Why was the event planned, and did we take into consideration the needs and wants of all of our members? Where do our events take place, and is it a convenient location to the majority of our members? And what do our members remember about their interactions with our Honor Society? This can be hard to determine unless you ask your members, and it is important to ask and not always assume. Perceptions can be formed during in-person interactions, such as at a prospective member meeting. The way the individual is greeted and the interactions they have can form their perception of the Honor Society. However, there are some less obvious factors that can form an individual's perception. Location of meetings and events, the mode or method by which topics are presented, the leadership demographics, the methods and frequencies of communication, and the timeliness by which invitations are sent or messages are returned can all alter an individual's perception, just as in-person interactions can. By stepping outside of the leadership role and looking at the Honor Society from the member's perspective, you can hopefully create experiences that will be positive and create these ideal perceptions. I want to give you two different examples. The first is Mary, who is currently enrolled in an RN to BSN program. Mary also works full-time and has 2 young children in school. Mary said, "I love being a member of the Honor Society. I am incredibly busy, but I always know about the events far enough in advance to take off work and plan for childcare. The Honor Society chooses relevant speakers and topics for students like myself who have been working as an RN for several years, but also for the traditional baccalaureate students. They allow time for networking and socializing either before or after the events, which is wonderful because I take most of my classes online and am only on campus for a few hours every 2 weeks. I like being able to interact with other members on the Honor Society's Facebook page in between the in-person events also. I would definitely recommend membership in this Honor Society." There are a few key highlights to pick out from Mary's statement. She acknowledges that she is very busy, but that she has advance notice to be able to make arrangements to attend the events. She also points out that the topics are relevant for several different member segments. Because Mary is only at the campus once every few weeks, she values the social and networking aspect that the Honor Society arranges during the in-person meetings. It also appears that the Honor Society keeps their Facebook page updated and encourages participation from the members. Overall, Mary feels that she's receiving value from her membership and is even recommending it to others. The second member is Paul. Paul was inducted 2 years ago, just before he graduated from his baccalaureate program. He works full-time and lives about 30 minutes from the university. Paul says, "When I was inducted into the Honor Society, I was excited as the ceremony was just before graduation and the pinning ceremony. I was not able to attend any programs or events after I graduated because the invitations only came a few weeks before the event. The events were always in the early evening. As a new nurse in the hospital, I worked second shift and was not able to take off work with that little notice. The program topics were not relevant to me because they were all garnered towards nursing students, and I am working. Outside of the invitations to attend programs, I do not hear from the Honor Society, and I really do not think that they are doing anything else. I am up for renewal in a few months, but I probably will not renew." In this case, Paul was inducted just before graduating and had no opportunity to make relationships or experience the Honor Society before he entered full-time employment. The Honor Society sends invitations only a few weeks before the events, which does not allow Paul to make arrangements to attend. Additionally, it appears that the Honor Society is focused only on their student members and does not provide a variety of program topics that would be relevant to those members who are working in the clinical setting. The Honor Society is also not communicating regularly, and Paul does not know what other activities they are doing. Paul does not appear to feel like he is part of the community of the Honor Society and is unlikely to renew his membership. Mary and Paul have very different perceptions of their honor societies. Mary is able to participate because the Honor Society gives enough advance notice for her to make arrangements to attend, while Paul cannot because he only has a few weeks' notice. Mary enjoys the program topics because they are relevant to her as a working nurse who is also in school, but she acknowledges that the traditional students also find the topics relevant. Paul's Honor Society seems to only choose topics relevant to student members, though, and Paul is no longer a student, so he finds no value in the programs. Mary feels that she is a part of the community within the Honor Society because of the in-person networking that the Honor Society arranges. Paul, however, has not been able to experience this because he cannot attend the programs and gets no other updates from the Honor Society. And Mary's Honor Society uses a Facebook page to encourage members to interact outside of the in-person events, which makes Mary feel even more a part of the community. Paul does not receive any communication outside of invitations to the programs, and he does not believe the Honor Society is very active. From Mary's statement, it seems apparent that she has pride in being a member of her Honor Society, and she would recommend her membership to others. However, Paul would not. Positive experiences and positive perceptions build member pride. The developing Honor Society leaders should focus on making pride building a component of all chapter activities. Aim to make meetings and events fun. We are a professional organization, and our programs often cover various serious topics. But that does not mean that there cannot be a fun component, such as an extra 15 to 30 minutes of socializing and networking after programs, or having an icebreaker or get-to-know-you event at each board meeting. Work to ensure that every member concern or complaint is addressed quickly, giving the impression that the Honor Society leadership truly values each member and their membership experience. Rewarding and recognizing members, as well as celebrating Honor Society successes as a group, helps build the feeling of community within the Honor Society. And strive to create a welcoming environment, whether it be at a board meeting, induction, or program. This presentation has covered a lot of information, so I will quickly recap and then discuss the next steps that you will take. To increase the efficiency by which you communicate with your members, be sure to make a communication plan for regular communications, as well as those pertaining to a specific event. Keep all messages short and concise, and include a clear call to action to increase the likelihood that the intended recipient will absorb the key information and act accordingly. Diversify the delivery methods you use to reach more members, as well as to publicize the Developing Honor Society outside of the membership. Before you start, determine how you will identify the Developing Honor Society in a standard way and ensure that all communications and publicity utilize this standard identity. When publicizing the Developing Honor Society, focus on target audiences that are relevant and could benefit the Developing Honor Society. Use the excitement of your new and existing members to increase volunteers to help share the workload of communication and publicity. And as you move forward, keep in mind the perceptions that you could be creating for both your members and your non-members. In the rest of this module, you will be asked to schedule a meeting with staff so that we can review a tool that we provide for our Developing Honor Societies. Spark, a Developing Honor Society's guide to successful recruitment, has helpful advice for making initial connections, recruiting new members, and continues through the induction process. There are resources available to assist you as you plan for a prospective member meeting, induction, and a new member orientation. You will create a master communication plan to map out your communications that you intend to send throughout the year. You will start a communication plan for your first induction and decide on a timeline for sending invitations and follow-up reminder messages. You should also start discussing if the Developing Honor Society will hold a prospective member meeting before the first induction, and we will cover this in more detail in the next module. Thank you for viewing this recorded tutorial. Please follow up with the chapter development staff person with any questions, comments, or ideas, or hold on to them until your next meeting to discuss the Spark Toolkit.